there's been a lot of really good moments for a lot of the agents here, really highs, and then there's been some lows here, like just recently, and the way that I've seen, you know, the Thrive community come together to support those people, I'm like, wow, like that is really, it's special.
All right, so we're back, Thrive Well podcast with Neeley Freeman. I'm so excited to give everybody an update on what you've been doing. Last time people heard from you, it was about 3 months ago or so. What have you been up to? What have you been doing?
Loving and living Thrive. Embracing the culture, and really stepping into the dual career portion.
Yes.
I think the last time we talked on here, like I told you, like I was excited about it.
Right.
And now that I'm in it and doing it, I'm obsessed with it. Like,
okay, so let's help people understand. Dual career it's so common in real estate. A lot of people come here thinking this will be a great side hustle, this will be a great part-time gig, or what we look for at Thrive are the folks that say, I want to do real estate full-time, I'm just not in a position yet.
Right.
And so that's when they come see you. We've created this group. How many people are in your group?
13 and growing.
Yeah. 13 and growing. We don't call them part-time.
Right.
We call them dual career because like you, like me, we had 2 jobs. We wanted to go full-time into real estate, and we were giving full-time to each job. And so we very intentionally don't call it part-time because you could easily have 2 careers.
Yeah, it's like a big no-no. When someone says it in the group, I'm like, ooh, fumble, foul, we're not doing that.
Yeah, one more strike, you're out.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
No, 100% though. I tell them because they're not part-time, and they show up and they do all of the things, and they're training, and there are some people in that pod who are, you know, creeping up towards trying to be top producer here.
Yes.
It's not part-time.
Yes.
And just, you know, something that I think is really cool that I want to mention is that we have a group meeting every Monday. And it was always me talking to them. And then eventually I'm like, I'm tired of hearing myself talk, to be honest. Like, we got to jazz it up, right? So then I reached out to the other lead agents here, and I'm like, hey, would you mind coming in? That collaboration has been incredible.
That's amazing.
And I was, you know, me being new myself, the role is a little bit interesting because it's not like I was here, so like I knew everybody.
Right.
Literally I was new stepping into that role and new to the company.
Yes.
But it was amazing, the collaboration between the lead agents to say, yeah, we want to see them succeed too. And, you know, it's been great. I love the pod. I am being mentored to be a better leader, so that's important to me. We have a really good time. We're fun. We are a fun pod.
I believe you. I can see it.
Fun.
Yeah. You don't have to convince anybody. Okay, so you have 13 people in this dual career pod. You are also a full-time realtor and a full-time mom and a full-time wife and Neeley in itself. So talk to us about what this transition has been like, because I feel like at this point, you have a good understanding of crossing that threshold, getting the Thrive experience, and the difference here.
Right.
And so, be raw, be honest. What's it felt like to you?
It was so easy to transition here that I almost felt like it didn't happen, to the point where I was like, am I a thriver? Have I arrived? Because it was very seamless. It was very easy. It was a lot of, you know, the leadership taking on those things and being like, okay, we processed this, you're good. So the transition was seamless. Awesome. And then really, truly, the culture for me has been, I'm constantly like, this is not real. They do not do March Madness. They do not bring in like Grizz from OU. Like, no way. We're not having like a free throw contest in the office. Like, no, that's real life. That's real life. Yeah. So that part for me has been really like, it's just super eye-opening and just really welcome. Like, I'm just at a point in my career where I feel like my career it's going, right? Things are kind of like just going along. And I was really kind of just looking for something that felt like home. Like, where's the camaraderie? Like, where is that piece of it for me? And I mean, there's so much here. I'm always like, what are we doing next? What are we doing? And my personality, I mean, I thrive in an environment like that.
Yes.
And I always say, can I just tell you, I don't know where Thrive came from. I don't know where Thrive came from, how you thought of it, but I constantly say, I'm like, I'm thriving at Thrive.
Yes.
I'm really thriving. And
Yes.
Jeff's like, can you think of another word? I'm like, no, we're going to go with Thrive.
Yes.
It's like,
Thrive.
It's perfect. It's
That's
perfect.
right. You got
really
zinged.
is.
It's so good.
Yes.
No, we named the brokerage Thrive after going through many iterations, of different names and making sure it was okay in Michigan and then beyond. If we ever wanted to expand, we had to think a lot bigger than just right now. And Thrive was intentional because I'm a big, where's the bar at?
Yep.
Where are we holding the standard? What is our standard?
Yeah.
And is that below average, average, above average? And what is our above average? So being that I've always been one of those folks that has an incredibly high standard for me and for what I'm willing and wanting to do for others, Thrive was a good bar to say like, hey, if our theory here is, and this was before we launched, before we made it real, the theory was, is it possible to have an agent be in this business full time, be able to have other priorities like family, like themselves, like marriage, dating, whatever it is, playing a guitar, I don't care.
Right.
Is it possible they do that and have a full-time career and love both? Love life, be happy, be whole.
It is fully
and if that's possible, what would that be called?
Right.
They'd be thriving.
Yeah. I love that because that really does encompass the culture here and just the way that everyone supports each other. Like that really gets me. Like I'm always in my feels here. Always in my feels.
Yeah.
Now I'm in my feels normally, but I'm always in my feels here. You know, just the culture. Like there's been a lot of really good moments for a lot of the agents here, really highs, and then there's been some lows here. Like just recently, and the way that I've seen, you know, the Thrive community come together to support those people, I'm like, wow, like that is really, it's special. It's really special. I find myself really like protective of this community.
I love
like
that.
I'm like, this is like a really great community. I want everybody like to be happy and thriving and like, and I feel like that's the culture that everybody wants to see everyone.
Yes.
You know this, right? Because you created this. You did this by design.
No,
Okay.
I get it. I get it. It's intentional. And it's beyond me. So even with you saying that, like what your experience is at this point, like it's beyond me. It's the collective that's created a community that's worth sharing.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I'm so glad
being
you
here.
feel that way.
Yeah, I love being here.
And I am also grateful that you feel protective because that is something that our whole business model is based off of, is that we want to get to a point where the seat you have at Thrive is coveted. And you only sponsor someone that you believe you'd want to be in business with, that you want to be in community with.
And I've had other agents ask, what is Thrive? Why did you, leave a previous brokerage? What is it? And when I explain it, it's like, I don't necessarily know that it's not for everyone.
No,
we know that,
absolutely
right?
not.
It's not for everyone. But when I explain it, it's easy to pick out those people that are like, oh, I want to hear more about that.
Yes.
I want to see more about that. Like, what is that?
Yep.
Because it is special and it's different.
Yep.
I mean, I've been in the business long enough to see what people are doing.
Yes.
I have, right? And this is just very unique. That's the best way I can think.
Yeah.
People are like, what is it? I'm like, I can't explain it. You got to see it. Like, do you want to come in when we're doing March Madness and see? Like, it's different.
I love that. And it is different, and it's meant to be different. And we did design it to disqualify more than we did to qualify, right? I mean, no one wants, not all people, and actually most people are good at just kind of going along with the flow, and they're in the rat race and they love it, and parts of their life are off kilter and it's no big deal. And we said, okay, if that's majority, what's minority? How do we get into that gap?
Yes, absolutely.
And hold the line.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you now, as a realtor partner and a dual career coach, you're transacting here, you're serving your clients. Do you feel that you're able to deliver a different experience?
Yes, I do.
Okay, tell us how. How do you feel that you're able to do
Absolutely, and that's
that?
another thing where it's just like a no-brainer, and it's something that I had heard about for a long time, and I was like, in my head, I was a naysayer. I'm like, there is no way that it works that seamlessly. There is just no way. I've been in the business long enough to know that there are a lot of bumps in the road, and I don't believe that there's, a group of people who can handle that and pivot very quickly. And I was wrong. The transaction managers here are incredible, and they are always, which I'm always like, what? It blows my mind, because I'm a very OCD personality, right? They're always a step ahead of me, and that blows my mind. Like, you know, I'm like you said, I'm busy. I'm doing stuff with the kids. I'm doing all these things, and they're always a step ahead. So it's nothing for me to like get that phone call, that text, or something in the message, and they're like, hey, just want to let you know, there's this issue, but I've already taken care of it, and I made the phone call. And I'm like,
amazing.
Did you do that? Like,
yes.
And then the other thing too, and I told you this too, that like really kind of blew my mind, is the insight they give me from a different perspective. Because, you know, when you've been in the business for 9, almost 10 years, you're used to writing deals a certain way.
Sure.
You're used to doing things a certain way. And it's interesting here because when I will put through an offer, they're like, hey, just so you know, like, we sometimes do it this way to, you know, circumvent this from happening or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I've literally never thought of that.
Yeah.
So that has been really interesting too, to see how they can help me to make my offers, my listings stronger, better. I mean, that advice has been amazing.
Which in return, right, creates a better outcome.
Absolutely.
Creates a better business. I love that, because that our thought process on transaction management is a little bit different than most. It's not about just crossing T's, dotting I's. Of course, that is mandatory in contract management.
Right.
Of course. But beyond that, it's to say like, hey, in your lifetime career, you've, let's say, done 200 deals over the lifetime of your career. Our transaction department has done thousands.
Right.
And so that collective knowledge share is untouchable.
Yep.
It's just something that we really pride ourselves on. It's not a
They've
third-party
seen it,
service.
they've done it.
Yeah, and they work hand in hand with the broker. So if there is anybody better than the broker, it's the team there. So
it's amazing.
I love that.
And my clients, I've been, you know, I was, like I said, I mean, I'm putting it all out there. I was a naysayer about, I'm like, well, I don't know about like, you know, giving up that control.
Yeah.
I want to be like with my clients. I don't, you know, I'm very hands-on with my clients. My clients love the transaction management team. Like, they literally will say, are they going to be there? Can I see them? They feel so intimately involved with them and me.
Cared
so
for.
that experience and that hand holding is just so beautiful. And, you know, it's just, like you said, it's different. It's not just pushing papers and saying, it's literally that experience. I will have conversations with the transaction management team ahead of time about my clients. And I will say, I just want you to know this is how I know this person. You know, personality might be like this. They want you to follow up all the time. Personality might be, hey, they're busy at work. They only want like need to know basis. So they work with them the way they want to be worked with. And it's just, I mean, it's really truly mind blowing. And it's, again, I always say, it's something you don't believe until you experience it.
I know.
I was, for sure, I'm like, it does not work.
We hear it all the time. It's too good to be true.
Yes.
Always.
Yep.
Kristen hears it nonstop.
Yep.
Same thing that you're saying. Like, yeah. I've
said
seen
it to her
it.
for
It
a
looks
year.
that way. I get it. But no, it's too good to be true.
Yep.
Well, we've got something to answer that problem very soon coming to market. But I love what you just said, because for me as an agent, before Thrive existed, teams, and I interviewed with teams because when I finally hit burnout, I was like, hey,
Right.
nothing's a priority but my business,
Right.
which means this isn't the life I'm supposed to be leading.
Yeah.
And we interviewed with teams, and the thing that came to me after transacting with these teams and then interviewing with them was that baton handoff, right? Where you're so reluctant as a realtor because you're like, I don't like, it feels like I'm hoodwinking my client, right? Like, you signed up to work with me, and then all of a sudden you're with this random person. You might not get the same person on every transaction. They don't really care about you. They're just crossing T's, dotting I's, as contract management should be. But they lacked the experience part, the care part. And I knew when we nailed it was when we started getting reviews that included our transaction experts.
Yeah, I'm sure.
When they started saying,
naming
my
them.
realtor Neeley and her team, Stevie,
Yeah.
are just absolutely amazing. Loved working with them. That's when I'm like, that's it.
Yep.
That was the gap we were looking for.
I had a client recently, and this for me was like, just sealed the deal. She's a single woman, and she's always like, I'm lonely. Like, we talk all the time. Like, she's like, I'm just lonely. If I'm bothering you, let me know. I'm like, you're fine. So we just like, we talk all the time. And she had a question about something, so she called and she was talking to Stevie, and Stevie hung up and she called me. She's like, hey, just want to let you know I talked to that client for like, about 20 minutes. She just needed to like, tell me about like some things. The client called me after that and was like, that was so kind of her. She's like, my anxiety was so high. She told me we were on our way to closing. She's like, I actually almost put diesel in my car this morning. And she's like, I was so like nervous.
Oh my.
And she said some, guy was like, ma'am, that's diesel. And she's like, I was just jamming the pump trying to.
Oh my gosh.
So just talking to her and like, it just relieved her stress. And like, I was like, that's so beautiful to me, because my bread and butter is my clients and they refer me. And that, like you said, that is a very uneasy feeling to hand off and say, okay, I'm trusting you with my client.
Yeah.
Like my clients are my family.
Right. And when that is your business, right, you're handing off, essentially saying, this is my lifeline to income.
Yes, absolutely.
And I respect that. I take care of them because I covet the fact that they're a part of this cycle of my life.
Yes.
And that's why it's a teamwork. It's a partnership with our transaction team. It's not a handoff. It's in partner with and powered by them. That's it.
And they do other things too. Like I was laughing the other day. They're like, don't forget to get a review from your client.
Yeah.
Don't forget to do this. And I'm like, these are all things that like, when you're busy and your mind's going a million miles a minute and you're working on other things, like you forget.
Yes.
You forget those things. But it's those little things like, don't forget to do this. Don't forget to do that. This is scheduled for this time. And I'm like, oh gosh, it's just.
Yes.
For me, it's something that is truly like priceless. Like you can't put a price on that type of security.
I agree.
Can we touch on the softball schedule for a second?
Yes.
So it's going to make me sound crazy to say it out loud, but bear with me because there are two children who play, but we are at the softball field Monday through Thursday.
Okay.
We have Friday off, and then we have tournaments almost every weekend, Saturday and Sunday.
Wow.
So to be hands off with some of those intricate details that are super important.
Very important.
But also know that I can be at the game. I used to be at the softball games like this.
Yeah.
And my kids would even be like, did you see that
Yeah.
hit? Yes, I saw it. I saw it. And then,
You're like, I was watching with
I was
my left eye.
I was. And now I don't have to do that.
I
Like how you
know.
can't put a price on that. It's just.
That's beautiful.
It is.
And that's
It
what
really
it's there
is.
for.
Yeah.
Because I, too, was that exact same mom where I was at the soccer game and I'm walking down this way because I don't want to interrupt the bleachers.
Right.
And I'm trying to keep an eye on the game, but
Yep.
also full on in the conversation.
Yeah.
And that's what it's there for. It's
Yep.
to say, hey, this job was never meant to be the job of 6 people. Somewhere along the lines, it got confused. And let's
So
just
smart.
sort that out really
Yes.
quickly. Let's have you do the one job you're supposed to do and
But
have
it's
the
unique
5
to
other
thrive,
people.
too. It
Yeah.
really is. It's like when you say it out loud, it makes so much sense. But, to have it up and running and then to have it also like, I am a very black and white regimented person.
Yeah.
So I like process.
Yes.
And everything here has a process. And I love that.
Yeah.
Stevie just showed me another process a minute ago before, it's like, this is what we do here. It's designed well, it works well, and it's very seamless. And it was very easy to put my business over here. That was like a big concern. That's your income.
Yes.
So that part has just been,
I love hearing
like
that.
I said, I was like, am I signed up? Put me in, coach. Like,
Yeah.
are we good?
You're like,
she's
is
like,
that
yeah,
in
you're
here?
here.
I'm
Okay,
in it.
good.
Do I get a T-shirt? Yes, I
Something.
love that. I love what you said about structure because our thought process around structure is that it's structure that's not stifling. So we want structure, and we're also cognitively aware that people come to real estate to have their own structure.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So their own personal freedoms around time, and how do we make structure enough where we're delivering an incredible experience every time, which requires process.
Absolutely.
requires checklists.
Right.
But also respect the fact that we know there's some flexibility needed.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't feel, because it's funny you brought that up too, because that was actually like a big concern of mine too, because I like to have creative freedom. I like to have, I like it to feel like it's mine, and I still feel like I have all that.
Good.
Just with that extra help and that little hand holding. But yeah, that has not been an issue at all.
I love that.
Yeah.
Love that. I think it takes a smart person to think bigger. truly.
Yeah.
It's just about thinking a little bit bigger than what you know
Yes.
in that moment.
And that's hard to do.
It
It
is.
is hard to do.
Absolutely. That's why it takes that emotional intelligence
Yes.
and the
Yeah.
willingness to say, okay, I'm going to learn, I'm
Yeah.
going to find out.
Yeah.
So, way to go. Thank you. And we're so
Yeah.
happy you're here.
Oh, I'm so happy
Yes.
to be here.
So, what do you have coming up in your dual career pod?
We are actually changing things around a little bit. I'm excited about this. We are going to start meeting. We usually do Zooms on Monday
Okay.
nights. However, and this is again part of having that ability to change things, which, you know, another part of this job that really surprised me. I thought I was gonna be micromanaged. You know, I have my own opinions on things, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to have to like deliver opinions that come from above. Like, again, opinions, not a process, but like an opinion. I'm like, I kind of want to be able to tell them the things I want to tell them. Like, so I was nervous about that. Like, what is that going to look like? Is it going to be like you have to do this and this? I actually told Brendan, I'm like, I'm still doing this. I'm the dual career, you know, like, and he's like, I know you are. But it has literally been, Neeley, take the reins with it, make it yours, make it great, see it flourish. And that has been like so wonderful for me to see what I'm capable of. I don't
Yes.
know that I've necessarily ever been in a position where someone has said, go with it.
Yeah.
You know, we check in, we do all the things. I'm always talking to him, but it's like, you can have creative freedom. So
Yes.
we are looking at schedules.
Okay.
Summer's coming.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to snow tonight.
It's supposed
we'll
to.
See.
We'll see. Damn Michigan.
It's so bad. So we don't want to meet on Zoom. Monday night when it's like, you know, 80 degrees outside in the
Sure.
summer, I'm like, hey, so we decided we are going to meet up in person. We're going to do like happy hour once a month. And then they are also coaching with me individually for 2 times, 20 minutes a session. We keep it very light because
Yeah.
again, a lot of times they're at work. So they
Yes.
will literally be on the phone with me on lunch.
Yep.
That's fine. We can
Yes.
answer questions and do those things. So we're doing that, and I'm excited. Like, just to kind of, we've been on Zoom a lot, but to be together,
Yes.
having a little fun, getting to know each other. I
Totally
think there's
different.
something to be said for a group like that shares that commonality, to be in person, to be like, oh, or to celebrate, or whatever it is
Yeah.
they feel to be in a group setting like that. So
Yes.
super
Love
excited
that.
about that.
And then you do a lot of things where you're bringing in, because when you are dual career, your ability to get exposed to everything is limited.
Right.
So you're bringing in lenders, you're bringing
Yes.
in title experts,
On the
you're bringing in,
weekends. We do it on the weekends.
which is incredible. I
Yeah,
mean, I think that's a portion of something I wish I had when I
Yeah.
first started.
Well, that's what, and it's I love the pod because the pod is very interactive. It's not like, hey, I'm going to like shove this information down your throat.
Yeah.
I did this certification called Exactly What to Say. You may have heard of it. And I learned a lot about communication. And
Yeah.
I was able to take that back to them. And I was like, hey, we are going to communicate more efficiently.
Good.
And I've been doing a lot of that with them. So I've gotten
Good.
a lot of information from them about what they want. So we do. We've met with, we had like a whole Mortgage 101 class on Sunday. Brought in donuts.
Yep.
And we heard from the lender, and they learned a lot of stuff, and they walked away and they were like, Neeley, I can now more efficiently help my buyers because I understand programs like Mishta or
Exactly.
like. So that was like beautiful. I was so excited about that. And title, like, I mean, just really
Great
anything they
exposure.
want, we're bringing it in.
I love it because I can remember when I was dual career, I was going to the elevators. I was working downtown at the Renson, and I got a call from the title person on this deal I was doing. And I was doing friends and family, so it was a
Yeah.
little more conducive to being casual, thank
Yeah.
goodness, in my early career. And she's telling me something about the documents. I had no idea what she
Right.
was talking about,
Yeah.
and I was scared out of my mind.
Yeah.
Thought I had done something wrong, felt so terrible, so responsible, of
Yeah.
course, because it was my responsibility,
Yeah.
and was like, okay, just tell me exactly what to say to the client.
Yeah.
And from that point forward, I took every class. I went before,
Yes.
after work, during work. I was doing everything I could to get educated. So having this outlet is incredible.
We go over settlement statements. We had a couple of agents that are doing their first closings.
Yeah.
We took the settlement statement. We went over it line by line. You got a question? We're going to go over it. You're going to sit at
Yes.
the table because that exact situation happened to me. I was sitting at the table at the closing. I had no idea what they were talking about.
Yes.
And I was like, please don't ask me any questions.
Right.
Don't anyone look at me. And then I'm like, do I have to identify as a realtor? Can I just like say that I'm like, I don't even
Just
know.
like,
I'm
you barely know me.
I'm housekeeping. Like, you know, I'm like,
Yes.
oh my gosh. That is a terrible feeling.
It's
that
awful.
That is a terrible
and
feeling.
it's most agents, even if you're not
Yes.
dual career.
Right.
You're being
Right.
honest, right? How many agents come to a closing table and are praying to whomever they pray to, saying like, please don't have a GD issue with this contract, because I couldn't tell you 6 ways to Sunday how to fix it.
No.
It's why we spend so much time on contracts here.
Yes.
It's why we do a 3-hour class right when you start with us. We don't care if you've been in the industry 10 years or if you've been in the industry 1 month. Contracts are important. So I love that. We love the work that you're doing here.
Thank
We're
you.
so grateful that
Thanks.
you're making a difference, not only here, but with agents in the industry in Michigan. So.
Well, that is because you gave me that opportunity. So thank you. That is like, I think I talked about it on the last podcast, but it's very weird when you're feeling like something is missing.
Yeah.
You don't know what it is. So many people are like, well, what is it? I don't know. There's something missing professionally. What is it? And then to be presented with this opportunity where it's like, oh my gosh, if I could have like, you know, dreamed up a perfect opportunity, that's what it would look like. So it was very, I don't even know. It was just full circle how it fell into my lap and how it was like, hey, like you have this experience, you have this love, and it lines up. And I was like, what's going on here? Like, I almost felt like you guys were like listening into conversations because I'm like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Like,
well, think about the 2 people you were working with, which we have to give hats off to our director of sales, Brendan, and our agent success manager, Kristen.
Absolutely.
When they brought the idea to me, I thought, 1, I thought it was brilliant, and 2, I asked them how they were going to hold accountability, specifically Brendan. Like, well, what's the thought process here? What's that going to look like? And he did what he does best, right? He's a teacher at heart, and he's like, you know what, I think Neely's going to have this in the bag. I'm going to hold to metrics that matter to her and to the agent she's leading, and I think she's going to do a great job. And look,
I
what's
know.
happened.
It was so perfect.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's awesome. The pod is awesome. Can't say enough good things about it. And I would challenge anyone listening to try to find a brokerage that has it. Because that's the other thing, is that a lot of the people who are in that pod were at other brokerages, and the common theme in there is exactly what you said. I was out in La La Land by myself, not knowing anything how to sell or help someone buy real estate. Yeah. That's really scary when you think about it. It's very scary.
Then they, to no fault of their own, they will start helping family and friends, just like I did, I'm sure just like you did. And you think you're doing the right thing and you're willing to solve any problem, but you really have no idea the gravity of the work that you're doing.
Yep, absolutely.
It's beyond serious. It could make someone's life or break someone's life. So I'm grateful that you're here for them. I'm grateful we have this opportunity for people. What would you say to anybody listening, the number one thing to ask a broker when it comes to being dual career?
Oof, I honestly think that comes down to who is going to, I don't want to say oversee, but who is going to partner with you, I guess. That would be my number one question. Is there someone who's going to specifically partner with me? Does that person, I mean, a lot of my calls, they're after hours, after business hours, because that's when they have questions. And then, like I said, the weekend stuff, that's because they work Monday through Friday. So it's a question of, is someone going to be available to me to ask those questions? I think that's huge. Because really, I mean, there's a lot of people in this pod who, their career, I'm literally watching it and it just, it pumps me up beyond. It's going like this.
Yes.
It is. They're learning, they're confident. I just had a conversation with an agent the other day. He, I don't want to give away all the Thrive secrets, but we do something at the board where we write down some numbers, okay? And he wrote down a number, and he's already surpassed that, and the numbers for the year. And I was like, oh, really? And he's like, well, I was just thinking about before what I would have done, and I'm like, this is not before.
Yes,
this is Thrive
now.
time. This is Thrive time. So it's just the difference in that. But yeah, I would absolutely ask who specifically, is there someone who can help me? Because it's really important. You have to have those resources.
Yes, I love it. I think that's a great question. And then to couple that with is, and what are the hours in which you're available?
Yep, absolutely.
Right? Because it's one thing to say, yeah, I'm available for you, and if you call me at 5:01, I'll get back to you at 9:01 the next day.
And not in this market either. That's the thing. I always tell people, I'm like, you call me. I will make that time. We will talk about it. But also, the beauty of it, when you bring in these educational resources, I've noticed like the calls were constant, and now the calls have kind of dropped off a little bit because they feel confident and they're making those decisions, and then they're like, hey Neely, this is what I was doing, what do you think? And I'm like, yep, right, that is what I would suggest. And yeah, it's
beautiful.
It's cool.
Beautiful.
I love them.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the update.
Yeah.
And if you want to work with Neeley, you're going to find her on social media. Where can they find you?
Neeley Freeman _realtor on Instagram.
Awesome. That's where you find her.